Could we all please rise for the prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council Martin.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
Council Milanazzo.
Here.
Council Rourke.
Here.
Council Samaras.
Here.
Council Belanger.
Here.
Mayor Elliott.
Here.
Council Kennedy.
Here.
Council Leahy.
Here.
That's 9 present.
9 present. Chair would like to recognize Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take, at this time, take a moment to offer a moment of silence and darkened chamber for Gertrude Massey, who passed away last week at the age of 90. She was a beloved wife of Hank Massey, Jr., until the time of his passing in 1998. They were the owners of Hank's Garage on 129 Martin Street in Lowell, Mass. This car and repair services garage was established in 1947 and remains a business to this day. Mrs. Massey was a graduate of St. Louis Academy in Lowell. Following her marriage, she devoted her life to providing a caring and loving home for her husband and 6 children. Mrs. Massey is survived by her 17 grandchildren, 6 remaining children, and 9 great-grandchildren. She also has 3 sisters, as well as many nieces, nephews, in-laws, and cherished friends. Mrs. Massey was also the beloved companion of the late Roland Brunet. Mrs. Massey enjoyed playing cribbage, traveling, and spending winters in Fort Myers. Most of all, Mrs. Massey cherished her time with her entire family at the cottage in Maine. Memorial donations in honor of Mrs. Massey can be made to the Merrimack Valley Food Bank in Lowell. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I'd like to offer a moment of silence for Roger Nangle, from a prominent Lowell family and uncle of State Representative David Nangle. I'd also like to offer a moment of silence for Bertha Solomon, a longtime Highlands resident, popular musician, mother of City Hall employee Amy Solomon. And we'd like to offer a moment of silence for all that have passed away since our last meeting.
Thank you, Councilor. Can we all please rise and darken chambers with a moment of silence? May rest in peace. There's no objection from the council. I'd like to suspend the rules to welcome an honorary guest from the Kingdom of Cambodia. Motion by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milanazzo. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. We'll suspend the rules to offer citation to the Secretary of State of the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts. Could you please come to the podium? It's an honor. It's okay. It's an honor and a pleasure to welcome you to the Lowell City Council chambers and the City Council meeting.
ខ្ញុំបាទសូមគោរពលោកអភិបាលក្រុង Lowell លោកស្រីទាំងអស់ជាទីគោរព
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen.
ក្នុងឱកាសដ៏កម្រនេះដែលលោកអភិបាលបានអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យ ប្រតិភូរបស់ក្រសួងវប្បធម៌នៃប្រជាជាតិកម្ពុជាបានជួបសម្ដែងការគួរសមព្រមទាំងក្នុងឱកាសនេះបានចូលរួមស្ដាប់នៅការប្រជុំរបស់ក្រុង Lowell.
In this rare occasion that Mr. Mayor and the council member allows the delegation from the Ministry of Culture and Fine Art of the Kingdom of Cambodia to come and listen to this meeting.
ព្រមជាមួយនេះខ្ញុំក៏សូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណដ៏ជ្រាលជ្រៅបំផុតចំពោះលោកអភិបាលក្រុង Lowell ដែលបានគ្រប់គ្រងឲ្យប្រជាជនកម្ពុជារបស់យើងខ្ញុំដែលរស់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុង Lowell នេះបានបង្កើតនៅ Cambodia Town មួយយ៉ាងល្អប្រសើរ
And also would like to thanks to Mr. Mayor that always been support to have a Cambodia towns in Lowell.
លើពីនេះទៀតយើងខ្ញុំក៏បានដឹងថាប្រជាជនខ្មែររបស់យើងខ្ញុំដែលរស់នៅទីក្រុង Lowell នេះមានសេចក្តីសុខសប្បាយ
Moreover, I also have seen or have observed that all our citizens Cambodian American who live in Lowell City are living in peaceful and prosperous.
ក្នុងឱកាសនេះខ្ញុំក៏ចង់បញ្ជាក់អំពីគោលបំណងនៃបេសកកម្មរបស់ក្រសួងវប្បធម៌របស់ខ្ញុំដែលមកលើទឹកដីនៃទីក្រុង Lowell នេះដែរ
I also would like to tell you that one of the goals that the delegation from Ministry of Culture to come to Lowell.
ដោយរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលកម្ពុជាយល់ឃើញថាបងប្អូនខ្មែរដែលរស់នៅទីក្រុង Lowell នេះក៏មានច្រើនទើបបានចាត់ឲ្យខ្ញុំតំណាងឲ្យក្រសួងវប្បធម៌នៃប្រជាជាតិកម្ពុជាបានចូលមកដើម្បីណែនាំដើម្បីឲ្យបងប្អូនដែលរស់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុង Lowell នេះឲ្យរួមកាន់តែខ្លាំងឡើងក្នុងការថែរក្សាប្រពៃណីវប្បធម៌របស់ជាតិខ្មែរ
Because of a majority of Cambodian population live in Lowell, the royal government of the Kingdom of Cambodia sent the delegation to come here. It's a part of to preserve the Cambodian culture in this city.
ទោះបីថាបងប្អូនរស់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុង Lowell ក៏ដូចជានៅក្នុងសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកទាំងមូលសុទ្ធតែមានវប្បធម៌ប្រពៃណីរៀងខ្លួនក៏ពិតមែនក៏ប៉ុន្តែក្នុងឋានៈពលរដ្ឋរបស់កម្ពុជាដែលរស់នៅសហរដ្ឋអាមេរិកក៏ត្រូវជំរុញឲ្យបងប្អូនទាំងអស់នោះថែរក្សានិងចងចាំកុំឲ្យភ្លេចនៅប្រពៃណីរបស់ខ្លួនដែរ
Even though there is diversity cultures of the people who live in the United States, but we as a Cambodian Cambodian government strongly urge the Cambodian American to preserve our culture.
ចុងបញ្ចប់នេះខ្ញុំក៏សូមប្រសិទ្ធពរជ័យជូនដល់លោកអភិបាលក្រុង Lowell ព្រមទាំងលោកស្រីទាំងអស់សូមឲ្យមានសុខភាពល្អក្នុងឱកាសបុណ្យចូលឆ្នាំប្រពៃណីជាតិខ្មែរយើងនេះ
Finally, I would like to wish all of you during our Cambodian New Year's for which to have a good health and success.
ដើម្បីទុកជាអនុស្សាវរីយ៍ក្នុងឱកាសដែលខ្ញុំបានមកដល់ទីនេះខ្ញុំបាទសូមជូននៅវត្ថុអនុស្សាវរីយ៍ដែលជាក្រមារបស់ប្រជាជនខ្មែរធ្វើដោយផ្ទាល់ដៃ
As a little souvenirs from Cambodia, he would like to give to all the counselor each the krama, the scarf, which is made handmade by Cambodian people from Cambodia.
Please come in. Open and where? It's okay. Did you want us to open and wear the scarves, or no?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Secretary did ask that we unwrap and open and wear and don the scarves.
You don't do that. You make it a little small.
We'll make it small.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks.
On behalf of all my colleagues in government, Mr. Kim Sarith, Secretary of State for the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts, from the Kingdom of Cambodia. On behalf of my colleagues, it was an honor, it was a privilege, and a pleasure to meet with you and escort you throughout the city of Lowell through this weekend, through the many events, both the Clemente Park celebration and all the activities, Cambodian New Year, over this 3 days of festivities, as well as the Khmer flag raising yesterday morning. On behalf of my colleagues in government, we offer you a citation on behalf of the city of Lowell.
Citation.
And be it hereby known that it was a great pleasure and honor for the city of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to receive the official delegation from the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts and Ministry of Economy and Finance on April 11th, 2014. The official visit was to exchange, foster, and strengthen the cultural ties between the people of the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, and the Royal Kingdom of Cambodia. The Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts is sponsoring the annual University Khmer Song and Music Festival in the Royal Kingdom of Cambodia in July 2014, as well as sponsoring 4 Cambodian American contestants to compete in the festival from Lowell, Massachusetts. The Cambodian Americans, who comprise 1/3 of the population of the city of Lowell, have significantly made cultural and economic contributions to the city of Lowell, Anchor Dance Troupe, and Southeast Asian Water Festival. The city of Lowell proudly expresses profound appreciation for the visit from the delegation of the Royal Kingdom of Cambodia. We enthusiastically recognize and appreciate the significant cultural and economic contributions of the Cambodian Americans, and will continue to work to strengthen and deepen the cultural and economic ties, as well as friendship between the people of the city of Lowell and the Royal Kingdom of Cambodia. Given this day by myself, the Mayor of the city of Lowell, on behalf of all my colleagues in government, this 15th day of April, 2014. And on behalf of my colleagues in government, we'd like to give to you and the people of Cambodia the key to the city of Lowell. Next, we have a proclamation. We have representatives from the New England Organ Donor Bank. Donate Life Month. Could you please come to the podium? We'd like to offer a proclamation as well. The City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by His Honor Rodney M. Elliott, Mayor, a proclamation. Whereas there are over 121,000 Americans, with more than 5,000 in New England and more than 3,000 in Massachusetts, who are currently waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. There are over 1 million life-enhancing tissue transplants each year that are made possible by the generous donations of cornea, bone, skin, and other tissue. Whereas Massachusetts is home to the pioneering efforts of many of the world's first organ transplant surgeons, it is fitting that Massachusetts continue its unique leadership role and join in the national goal of signing up 50% of our driving population to become donors, and is dedicated to making it fast and easy to sign up to save a life through our registry of motor vehicles. And whereas this observance pays tribute to organ and tissue donors and their families whose decision to donate life enables others to receive life-saving organs and tissues for transplant. We all can help to save someone's life and benefit to up to 50 recipients by signing up to become an owner and tissue donor by enrolling in the Massachusetts Donor Registry when we apply or renew our driver's license. Now therefore, I, Rodney M. Elliott, Mayor of the City of Lowell, on behalf of all my colleagues in government, do hereby proclaim April as Donate Life Month and urge all citizens to take part in the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, given this 15th day of April 2014 by myself, Rodney M. Elliott, the Mayor of the City of Lowell. Thank you and congratulations.
Mayor, thank you so much for the proclamation. City Council, I appreciate as well the time here. I see one of the city councilmen already has got his ID out, and the RMV does a wonderful job of registering individuals. 99% of all people who register as organ and tissue donors do so through the state agency of the RMV, and that's the same case throughout all the country, the DMV. This city council specifically has been a great leader, and I want to thank you. About 2 or 3 years ago, you passed legislation allowing individuals who work for the city to take some time off if they want to be a living donor, which is a wonderful thing. We're here to encourage people to register when they go to the DMV. If they no longer need their organs, there are up to 8 individuals who would be alive today because of that. And through this recognition and identifying April as Donate Life Month, we greatly appreciate it. I will say that a family who've been personally touched was one of the sponsors of your wonderful event with Meryl Streep. They brought their daughter in, had a wonderful time, and we have individuals here in Lowell. Alessandra's father has a new heart now, and she, a young woman here in Lowell, has started a new organization called Take Heart, encouraging young individuals to register as organ and tissue donors when they go to renew their license and or online at donatelifenewengland.org. I know you have a busy evening ahead of time, but I really appreciate you taking time to take this acknowledgement. You've done this for the next couple of the previous years, and looking forward to being here again next year. So thank you again for your time. Greatly appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much. Also like to recognize Mr. Manager. Welcome to your first City Council meeting. The honeymoon is officially over.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott, and City Council. I'm looking forward to the work. It's been exciting so far, and hoping to to make you proud of me. And with that in mind, I'd like to introduce the interim Chief Financial Officer is Robert Healy, and he will be serving until we can locate a new Chief Financial Officer. So look forward to working with everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll moving on to the next item on the agenda, the minutes from the city clerk. Minutes of the city council meeting on April 8th. We have also minutes of the neighborhood subcommittee on April 8th for acceptance. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Item 2-2 is a communication regarding the Lowell's second annual Pet Fest Rabies Clinic. It will be held on Saturday, April 26th. Is there a time on that, Mr. Clerk?
9 to 2.
Noon to 2 o'clock.
9
Not
to
9
2.
to 2.
9 to 2. Councilman Molinazzo? No?
Yes, 9 to 2 at the Butler School.
Okay.
on Saturday, April 26th.
Counsel Kennedy?
Accept the communication, place it on file.
Motion by Counsel Kennedy to accept the communication and place on file, seconded by Counsel Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. In the opposed, motion carries. Item number 3 is a public hearing that will take place at 7 p.m. Not being 7 p.m. yet, we'll move on to item 4 under communications from the city manager. Questions on motion responses A through H. Council Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In response to my motion, just for the public that's viewing so that they will know, I asked a question about, to get a report from the fire chief as to open fire pits and burning of wooden leaves in open barrels. And we got the Mass General Law. It says Lowell is one of 22 communities in the Commonwealth in which open burning is not permitted. This does not apply to the use of charcoal and/or propane grills for cooking. The ban on open burning in the city extends to the use of fire pits, outdoor wood stoves, chimneys. Unfortunately, there is sometimes a misconception that because they're sold in home improvement stores, hardware stores, and the like, they are acceptable to use. The state fire marshal's office has advised that they are not. So I thought it was important to bring this up again because I did receive calls from people that said that the burning was going right into their home and they were burning wood and debris and leaves and stuff like that, and it's prohibited. So I'd clear the air on that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. No pun intended on that, clearing the air with the smoke and the burning.
No, I just never thought of it.
Further discussion on motion responses? Motion to accept and place on file by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a communication for report and recommendation from the Planning Board to extend the INST, Institutional Zoning District, on 1291 Middlesex Street. Okay. Entertain a motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a communication from the city manager. It's a request for out-of-state travel for the Lowell Police Department. Discussion?
Move approval.
Move approval by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Rourke. All those in favor, roll call.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milanazzo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Next item, 5-1, is a vote. A vote to transfer $90,000 to cover balances owed for net metering credits. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Motion carries. Second reading by title. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Lowell, in City Council is a vote. Order to transfer $90,000 to cover balances owed by net metering credits. Discussion? Move approval by Councilor Samaras, second by Councilor Belanger. Roll call.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milanazzo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Next item is a vote to accept gift services of the city historian. In City Council, the city manager, on behalf of the City of Lowell, to accept a gift of services of the city historian for the City of Lowell. The City of Lowell desires to accept a gift of volunteer services of a city historian for the City of Lowell who shall serve in an honorary but official position to be known as a city historian for the city. Now therefore Be it voted that the city manager be and is hereby authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to accept a gift of service for a volunteer city historian in the city of Lowell pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A and a half. Be it further voted that the city manager will convey the city's appreciation for the generous donation. Motion to approve by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Leahy. Roll call.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Next item is 5-5.3. It's a vote to authorize the city manager to execute a MOU between the city and Charter Environmental Incorporated. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council, a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Lowell and Charter Environmental Incorporated relative to the utilization on a temporary basis of the city's driveway located off Westford Street in the City of Lowell. Council Mercia?
I have a couple of questions. I don't have any problem with this. I'm really supporting it. But is there a weight scale on the premises now?
My understanding is yes, and it's not operable.
Oh,
And what they're going to do as part of this agreement is to replace that scale.
Okay.
So it's working, and then when this agreement is over, that scale will remain there for our use
Okay,
alone.
that makes sense. That's what it sounded like. Thank you.
All set. Further discussion? Move approval by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo. Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Next item, 5.5, is a vote. 5.4. Still a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding regarding sidewalks on Aiken and Perkins Street. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Lowell. In City Council, a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts acting by and through the University of Massachusetts at Lowell relative to sidewalks on Aiken Street and Perkins Street in the City of Lowell. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move approval by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Rourke. Roll call.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Motion carries. Next item, 5.5. Vote authorizing the city manager to execute a grant easement on Aiken Street. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. Second reading by title. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the City of Lowell, in City Council, is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a grant of easement between the Commonwealth of Massachusetts acting by and through the University at Lowell and the City of Lowell for the purpose of installing and maintaining a lawn area, trees, and streetlights. Said easement is located over, across, in, under, upon, and within said parcel located along the southeasterly sideline of Aiken Street in the City of Lowell. Move approval by Council Samaras, seconded by Council Belanger. Roll call.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Being after 7 o'clock, we'll move into the public hearing section of the meeting. Under section 3.1, general public hearing. First hearing is regarding an ordinance, amend zoning, extend institutional zoning to include 1291 Middlesex Street, presently zoned TTF. Now we'll open this portion of the hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. Those wishing to speak in favor.
Mayor Elliott, members of the City Council, Manager Murphy, James Flood, 549 Rogers Street, Lowell, representing Joseph and Mary Consalvo, the owners of the property at 1291 Middlesex Street, and also Soho Development LLC, who is the developer of the present residential dormitory at 141 Marginal Street. With me tonight is Jim McClutchy from Soho. Would be glad to answer any question. We are asking that the institutional zone that presently exists on the dormitory site be extended to cover the entire parcel at 1291 Middlesex Street. The reason for this request is that Soho and the university is desirous of constructing a new one-way driveway from Middlesex Street to access the dormitory site. A little bit of the history of this project. When it was originally proposed, the original plan had a two-way driveway, one in and out on that site. At the time, the residents on Livingston Ave raised some concerns, and we met with them at a home on Livingston Ave to discuss it, and because of the concern, we withdrew it from the original plan. As you all know, the dorm has been built and is presently occupied by students. And because of the success of this dorm, the university has asked us to add an addition to the dorm, which we did go in front of the planning board in February to add an additional 60 residential units to that dorm, which was approved by the planning board. So as part of this new addition, they would like to construct this driveway, which would make the dormitory more visible from Middlesex Street. In your package, I submitted 4 plans. The first plan would be the area to be rezoned. The second plan was a landscape plan, which shows the green space that we intend to put in there, plus some plantings. The third would be the layout of the proposed one-way driveway. And the fourth plan was the plan showing the existing dormitory and the Marginal Street exit. The fourth plan shows, in order to enter the dorm today, you have to enter from Middlesex Street onto Marginal Street between the Lowell DPW garage and the car wash. So if this request for the zoning extension is allowed, my client will file with the planning board a new application for site plan approval for the construction of this new driveway. So in the plan, as you can see from the plan, it's a one-way entrance only into the dormitory site. There is a turnaround before you get to the dormitory site, which I think there are 10 parking spaces, which is for the purpose of people delivering pizzas or sandwiches. They can park. It'll have 15-minute parking signs there. It'll be short-term parking, and the parking will be enforced by the University of Mass Police Department. And the plan will also provide additional landscaping and plantings on the site. We'll have new fencings abutting both properties beside it, and we'll have a decorative fence running across the front. But the most important consideration we have is that this plan would provide better access for emergency vehicles. We have a high-rise dorm here, and if there was a fire, you might need a hook and ladder to come in here, and to make the turns around Marginal Street might be more difficult than going straight in. So I think there's a public safety reason for this, and I'm sure that this board can appreciate it. And with the one-way entrance, there'll be no additional traffic on Livingston Avenue than there is today. People are still gonna have to go out the same way, and they won't be using Livingston Street. So we were in front of the planning board last week. They are recommending approval on a 3-to-1 vote. There were some neighbors there who made comments about traffic, lighting, et cetera, but those issues can be handled at the planning board on site plan approval. It is our opinion this location of the driveway will not cause any more additional traffic in the neighborhood. Anyone that's going to the Dom would come down Middlesex Street from South Campus or, they're not going to go up through the neighborhood in the Highlands. Mr. McClutchy has met with the Highlands Neighborhood Association and discussed it, and they had no objections. I do have, that I'd like to submit this evening, a letter from Nancy Judge, who is the chairperson for the association, attesting to that effect. So, and in addition, this is a private development. This is a private developer who leases the property to the university, pays considerable taxes to the city, and with the addition, there'll be a lot more taxes to the city. So it's a good project for the city. The university will maintain it. They'll take good care of it. I think it'll be an asset to the neighborhood, and I'd ask this board to approve this request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flood. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
So, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the City Council. My name is Adam Bakey. I'm the Director of Campus Planning for the University of Massachusetts Lowell, and I'm here to speak on behalf of UMass Lowell in support of this request. As I think everyone is quite well aware, the university is in very much an expansion mode and continues to grow our student population and expects to continue to do so over the next few years. And we simultaneously have a very strong goal of increasing the proportion of our students who are in residence on the campus. And we have a lot of reasons for wanting to do that. Chief among them is that their academic performance of students who live on the campus greatly exceeds those of students who do not. But I think of equal importance to the neighborhoods around the campus. I imagine that some of our non-student neighbors would very much appreciate if we had more of our students on the campus and fewer of our students scattered throughout some of the surrounding neighborhoods. So in support of those objectives, the university has been working over the last number of years to expand the dormitory housing available to students on the campus. And we have been doing that through a number of different models. But the one that I imagine is in many respects most attractive to the city is the model that is exemplified by Riverview Suites, in no small part because that is probably the only dorm we have that you all can tax. So there's a certain amount of advantage for you for that. There is an advantage for us as well in that the projects can be delivered at less cost and far more quickly than if we had to follow the conventional construction process. So we consider that Riverview Suites has been a tremendous success, and therefore we are discussing the expansion of that property. However, in order to facilitate that expansion and in order to make it an even more successful place than it is today, we would very much like to see the additional entry drive directly off of Middlesex Street that is proposed or has been proposed by the developer, but requires this zoning amendment to be possible. And the reason for that is that even though there is no building proposed on the property that is to be rezoned, in order to access the dormitory use across this private parcel, that parcel has to be zoned to allow the dormitory use, and at present, the current zoning of that parcel does not allow it, and that's the reason for the zoning amendment. We certainly hope that you will support it. It would make a tremendous difference in terms of the overall visibility and accessibility of the property, and again, probably the most significant aspect of that is to make sure that emergency vehicles are able to locate the property and get into the property very efficiently. We also, as a result of having that new entry point, you would see a substantial increase in the presence of university police swinging by as part of a routine round that would include going through that entrance point, partly to make sure people are following the rules around the short-term parking there, but also just keeping an eye on things, and I think that would probably be a benefit to the neighborhood as well. So we certainly hope you will see fit to support this request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bakey. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Those wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the public hearing is closed. Those wishing will now open that part of the public hearing. Those wishing to speak in opposition. Those wishing to speak in opposition.
Hello, my name is Scott Roberge. I reside at 1296 Middlesex Street. Been a resident there since 1994, and I don't see that this is going to do anything better for my neighborhood. It's going to increase traffic. Right now, it's already increased traffic, but we don't see it as much because it's the next street over, and they have seen accidents there recently because college kids, they don't care for driving with the limits of the law. We see them flying down Livingston Ave doing 30, 40 miles an hour, breaking down at the end, and then just not even stop and turn in the corner. I don't think this will be a good fit for the neighborhood. It's going to displace a single family that has 2 autistic children. Been a great asset to our neighborhood. 15-minute parking, you're going to hear doors opening and closing all night long. I don't think it's going to be good for my house, which abuts this neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberge. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Good evening, everybody. This is Jayesh Patel from 15 Livingston Avenue. I'm the second last house on Middlesex Street. I see cars flying up and down. And as this gentleman said, we have a dome over there, and this is only for emergency. So as of now, say tomorrow something happens, what is going to happen? Where is the fire truck going to come inside now? It's for emergency vehicles plus delivery boys. So say tomorrow something happens, how are they handling it now? And why suddenly they want the fire trucks or something happens in emergency wants to go through that? How is it happening now, as if now? We got kids playing on the streets. It's a quiet neighborhood. I've seen cars coming up and down, which is normal. But after this project, when they open that space, they'll come flying down because it comes down the hill from Boulevard to Middlesex Street. As I said last week also, it's the same thing. We will be seeing a lot of traffic. It seems calm now, but once the gate opens, everybody is going to have issues. More accidents, more problems. There are kids playing. That's my only concern, though. It's for the safety of the neighborhood. And as I said before, I don't know where the fire trucks, ambulances are going now, because once this opens, we'll see them coming down the hill. Because it will come from Stephen Street, they can come in between, they can come straight down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patel.
My name is Mark Caribbean. I live at 6 Livingston Ave, directly across the street. My family's had the property there since 1944, and I grew up in the neighborhood. I am an alumni of Lowell. I wrestled there. Still trying to, be active in certain things. And I talked to Jim a few times in regards to trying to get some people, together to talk to him in regards to these plans. As far as that letter that was passed out, I know they met with people in the Upper Highlands, and I know a lot of the people haven't been approached earlier when they said about discussing things with people directly in the neighborhood. So I've discussed a few things with Jim, trying to find out a few more details, and he's been helpful to that. There are concerns in regards to many things that the people have, from safety issues. There's an exit I know that they're using now on Marginal Street near the car wash, which I believe Ed has in his property, and that's something that I know people are concerned. It's roughly 75 yards from the proposed plan, and I know emergency vehicles, I'm sure, go through there and the other gate up at Marginal Street right now, and I know that's supposed to be blocked off with the new addition or whatnot. But there are a lot of major concerns. I've gone up and down and talked to many neighbors on the street, and I don't know what kind of site plans have been done yet or not. I've been discussing some things with Jim, trying to find out more myself, and he's been helpful with that. But there are some major concerns with that aspect of it from the neighborhood. There were some other safety issues. I understand the idea of the vehicles having to go through there for safety. Just some concerns that I know some people had were, eventually when it is supposed to be a one-way coming out, if they're going to exit through Marginal Street, or are they going to come back out that street as, the driveway or whatever, the gated area it's going to be, and how is that going to be proposed for future references as to, is it going to be changed later on? Are there going to be street lights there? What's going to happen eventually as the traffic increases? I believe it's supposed to be 160 or 180 spots, I think Jim had told me earlier, and when people are coming to visit or whatnot, that's, I think, where some of the concerns are from the neighborhood, and how detrimental that's going to be to people racing up and down Livingston Ave. Like I said, I've grown up there. My family's had the property since 1944 or whatever it's been, early in the 40s. So there are some concerns with that, and noise levels and new construction. I understand the school's growing. We all appreciate that. I do as an alumni there. So I think just, for the neighborhood, especially finding out, exactly what's what plans, what analysis have been done, is something that's very important to the neighborhood, and I know that's important. I think, when that meeting was occurred, and I'm not blaming them for that, but I think somebody should have approached all the neighbors in the area. I mean, nobody on the street was notified, and, of that meeting in the Upper Highlands. And I don't know what Nancy Judd has to do with the Lower Highlands, but she has no involvement where she lives up in the Upper Highlands. It's not even close to where it is. So her concerns are minimal. I think people in the neighborhood have a direct impact on this, and it's going to affect them one way or another. And I think, there's certain things that need to be looked at by the council, further than just, one thing in the street. I think there's some major concerns there, and I think if they're addressed, I think things can be, approached differently with the neighborhood as well, to how they perceive this whole plan. But I think it's a major concern right now, and, I think if it's discussed maybe with them in certain aspects, or to what levels it's going to be, as I spoke to Jim earlier, I think that's one of the major proponents that the neighborhood has. And like I said, right now, most of them are, do not favor this. So, I live right across the street. I can see the points of things, but our future traffic lights, bus stops, what's going to be occurring there when there's an entrance 75 yards down? I think those are some of the things that need to be answered and addressed. So, that's my turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carpian.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is George Lorendo. I own the property immediately adjacent to this proposed road at 1281 Middlesex Street. My tenants are all against it. Which would you rather have in your backyard? A single-family house with quiet people there, or a street with cars? For the convenience of people delivering pizzas. If the real concern is that it's difficult to get emergency vehicles in and out, that should have been addressed before this whole project was done, years ago. We've just put up with 5 years of construction, a couple of years of it just sitting there doing nothing. It's a fine-looking building. They seem to take wonderful care. It doesn't seem to cause a lot of extra traffic, and there is a street that's adequate, and it's very close. And I think that you're allowing the concerns of a private entity to trample on the rights of ordinary citizens, people that have been there for years. I have with me one of my tenants. He's lived in this building for about 4 decades. And believe me, he doesn't want to see this. He wants a 20-foot wall on each side of the street if you do it, so he doesn't have to see traffic going up and down, lights, noise. I don't really mean to slow down progress for UMass, because they've done a wonderful job. The city looks great. Everything they do well. But if their concern is they want more visibility for the building, I think that's a very minor concern. As far as the emergency vehicles, again, yes, it probably would be easier to have a straight shot down. But where does that go? Down to this little 15-minute parking area? don't think that's going to help you very much. They already have adequate access through Marginal Street as determined by this board years ago. So those are my concerns, other than I have one more selfish one. I believe that instead of having a residence, a single-family residence on either side of my building, I'm now going to have a street on one side, which I think is going to lower the amount of rent that I can charge because it will not be a quiet, desirable place to live. Now, that's just me. I'm single. I'm a veteran. I live on Social Security and what I can get out of this building. So it hurts me individually, as well as all the other people that are involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorenzo. Rendo. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Hi, my name is Bob Schlebitz, and I live at 1281 Middlesex Street. George is my landlord. Basically, I've never spoken at a meeting, so I may just rant, but I think it's ridiculous because it should have been planned in the beginning. Secondly, I was just told that the people of Livingston Avenue were already opposed to it before. The people on the other side, I think it's Marginal Street, they voted it down. I mean, come on. If you're going to do it all, it should be done on the other side of Marginal. It would be a lot easier access for emergency vehicles. And also, I've lived there, like I said, all that time. The amount of traffic that comes out there is minimal because most of the college students walk across the parking lot onto the buildings. And there's very little traffic I see going in and out, so I don't see any real need for it. And if they're going to do it at all, why can't they make another entrance from the side of the dormitory onto the other parking lot? And as it is, the parking lot, most of the time, I'm looking out at that parking lot because I have the fence right there, and it's full. If they put up the more dorms, I have no idea where the people are going to park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schlebitz.
My name's Ed Weezer. I own the Palms Car Wash on the corner, Marginal in Middlesex, and I'm for the project. I'm not for the entrance whatsoever. I mean, it's just, our business has created, me and my wife Eileen's, on traffic flow, where we don't mind traffic flow coming in and out, and we welcome everybody that comes through there. We've never had a problem. I offer coffee to some of the emergency technician people coming through. They said this is always great, and it's open and it's wide, and there's never any problem down there. And like I say, I have more plans coming in for things that I've talked about, Kevin, going forward with creating more businesses and so on and so forth. And it's just my little corner down there, but it works. And for another entrance and to lose, I know it's one way going to be starting that way, but it's crucial that even the businesses down there, we count on traffic count and people that are going to come in and take off from that parking lot and go the other way we'll never see again. There's a solution here, guys, where I think we've talked, where the entrance can maybe stay the same if we work something out with the city maybe, or something else where the access in. And my question is too, the angle of the building and the cell tower there too, does that still remain private, or is that part of the university? So the cell tower remains private. That's my concern too. Everybody has a right to make money out here, same as I and same as these people want their privacies and so on and so forth, where if you take that spot, you need parking, you make it landscape and nice, but it's just an emergency in. If you need a hook and ladder, I know you can get the hook and ladder down Marginal. I can get in a lot more than a hook and ladder down there. But I welcome the flow of traffic for the businesses down that side. Appreciate it, that's all I got to say. And like I say, I'm in favor of the project, as long as it keeps everybody happy. And maybe we can talk and keep this thing going. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weezer. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Scott Gilman. I live at 43 Livingston Ave. Been there for 15 years, and as a concerned neighbor, I want to know what the traffic patterns are going to be. Has there been a study done which way they're going to be coming in and out of Middlesex Street, coming down Livingston? How do we know they're not going to come down Livingston Ave? Right now, the cars are flying down Livingston. I have 3 young children that play wiffle ball out in that street, or not in the street, in my yard, and we have wiffle balls going out in the street, and I'm very concerned that one of my kids is going to get hurt. I slow down cars all the time when I'm out there raking the yard. I yelling at cars going by, and I just don't. I'm just concerned that we haven't done enough to investigate the traffic volume that's going to occur going in and out of there. I just more concerned too that I just found out about this change yesterday. The last time we all met at a neighbor's yard and neighbor's house, we discussed it in length well before it went to you as a planning board. So it's just a little concerning that the neighborhood that was most directly affected by this hasn't been really informed. And I just hope we're doing due justice to the neighborhood, and keeping the neighborhood as a residential neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Excuse me. In opposition? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the body? Council Marcia?
Do I have that look like I want to say something?
You
'Cause
do,
I didn't
Councilor.
raise my hand.
I know that look.
You know, I was all set to sit here and support this. I don't have a problem with it. The purpose that we're here this evening is to just change the zoning. We're not here to reconfigure parking or whatever. That's not our deal. That's the planning department's decision. But it almost troubles me to say that we're here to change the zoning, but we don't know what the outcome will be there. I almost want to agree with Ed Weezer when I say that I'd almost like to support the change contingent upon the planning board having an agreement with the neighbors as to what traffic flow this pattern is going to have. That's the only thing that I'm concerned about, so that we all get on the same page and make everybody happy. I really believe in city government. It isn't about you lost, we won. It's about all coming together and trying to make it good so that everybody can have a comparable pattern here and be happy. I mean, you invested all your money into the neighborhood, and then something's going to happen. I know it's not always happy. I know I have woods behind my house that I would have preferred to have woods that is now condos. I would prefer woods over condos, but we lived with it and we accepted it, and it worked out very well. But I think in this particular instance, and I'm only saying what I feel, and maybe my colleagues have a different decision, that's up to them. I like everybody to be happy. I like to support the change contingent upon the traffic pattern being laid out for people, not at the last minute to come up here and say they didn't know what that was going to be and they're unhappy with the traffic going speeding down their street. Could we just continue support this change contingent upon everybody being happy? So what I would want to do is refer this back to the planning board to see if they could come up with some sort of a plan. I know it's probably going to put you in, or else you want to have a breakout in the hallway and come back later on.
Well, no, I mean, this is only the first step in the process. It would have to go back to the planning board for site plan review. And I will tell you, at the planning board meeting, Mr. Fischette was quite concerned about traffic himself. And he is going to, I think, order a traffic study in this area. They're the ones that make the final decision on the traffic there. And that's the purpose of the planning department. So that, the traffic was discussed, it was a concern of the planning board, and I'm sure they're gonna address it. I can't speak for them, but they did bring it up. But in order to do that, we've got to get through this board first. So.
Right, so I want the people here tonight to understand, we're not here to reconfigure or reconstruct the parking. We're here to simply change the zoning. But I'm with you 100% that hopefully you get on the same page and everybody kind of, makes you happy. You know what I mean? I don't want you to be unhappy, but I'm supporting this change of the zoning.
Okay, thank you, Council Mercy. If I can just reference, there's 4-2, communication that we accepted, and I believe it answers your questions as well as the residents' questions, and we'd be happy to get you a copy of this communication. As Mr. Flood mentioned, Mr. Frechette motioned, Mr. Lockhart seconded to recommend the council to approve. However, there are 3 bullets. Concerns regarding safety and traffic raised during the public hearing would be more appropriately addressed during site plan review application, which the petitioner would need under the proposed plan. Secondly, consideration of the proposed zone change is not an endorsement of the applicant's proposal the way it is currently configured, as the plan could change prior to the submission of an application for site plan review. Third, the proposal could potentially improve access to the site from a public and traffic safety perspective, but input from city departments as well as additional traffic data would need to be presented for the board's review to determine the most appropriate traffic circulation pattern.
Right.
So, as has been mentioned, and to the neighbors, the next step, they will require traffic data, traffic patterns, and they will look at those issues during the planning board site plan review. Councilor Milanazzo?
Thank you, Mayor. Based upon you entering that into the minutes of the meeting and the letter from the Assistant Planner, Acting Planning Board Administrator, I would move approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Milanazzo. Second by Councilor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Further discussion on this? Councilor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm going to support this too, but I wanted to at least acknowledge the comments from the residents who appeared to speak in opposition. I know it's not often an easy thing to do. I think all of us generally support what's going on with the expansion of the university. Even most of the speakers who don't necessarily support this are supportive of the university expansion in general. And occasionally we get these issues where private interests, butt up against each other. And like Councilor Mercier said, I too would like to see everybody happy. I'm hopeful that that can be accomplished in this case, but maybe not. You can't satisfy everybody. Even the opponents are opposed for different reasons. Some think there's already too much traffic. Some think it's not necessary because there's hardly any traffic. But I think, this makes, I think I trust the judgment of the planning board. They supported the zoning change, and they're going to take a hard look at the way traffic circulates on this project. So, based on all that, I'm going to support this. I do appreciate and do take to heart the comments of some of the speakers, and I'm hopeful that the planning board can address their concerns. Hopefully that's the case. May not be the case for every single last concern, but the university for the most part has been a pretty good neighbor, and I think I'm going to support this for those reasons.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Belanger, then Councilor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm also in support of the ordinance. I think on both sides of this issue, we're all in support of the growth of the university, and there's no two ways about that. What's going on there is tremendous for the city, but as the university grows, the student body grows, and I think it's very important that we keep the student body less intrusive to residential neighborhoods, and I think changing the zoning helps achieve that. Now, I understand wholeheartedly. I dealt with many situations like this on the Board of Appeals for 10 years. I fully understand the residents' issues, particularly on Livingston Street about speeding, and I have the utmost confidence in the planning board that they will address all these safety concerns. install signage if necessary, whatever it takes to make this less intrusive on the neighborhood. But I think there's a public safety issue there at the same time that needs to be addressed. And I think in the end, we'd rather have the student body living in facilities like Riverview Suites than we do on Livingston Street or Burnside or on those streets, in my opinion. So I think that achieves this, Mr. Mayor, and I have the utmost, again, I think the planning board will handle this very well and protect the neighborhood. So I do support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Council Kennedy, then Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I intend to support this too. This project for the university is probably one of my favorites, and it's one of my favorites because they pay taxes. So it makes it be a little bit different from everything else that the university does. And so because I am a big proponent of the university having dorms where they're paying taxes, I feel like we should be doing everything we can to support that. At the same time, and so I intend to vote for it, but at the same time, several residents have come down. It's important that the university be a good neighbor in the neighborhood. I'm sure that they want to be, and it seems to me that that we should be able to work out some sort of system that will make the neighborhood feel safe with any increase in traffic. So rather than to just shuffle that responsibility off to the planning board, if there's no objection from the maker of the motion, I'd like to also send this to the Division of Planning and Development so that they can maybe work with the neighborhood and with the university. I think they're probably familiar with some of the people that they would be working with at the university, and maybe come up with a solution that would be that's going to make the neighbors be happy with the project. So if there's no objection, could we add that in, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. We can just refer, the vote is for a zoning change, but I don't think there's any objection to refer that to planning and development as well. Councilor Samaras, further discussion on that?
No. Thank you. I too support the project. I think it's both important to the college and to the city. As Councilor Kennedy said, I mean, it's going to pay us a large amount of taxes. But could I ask a question of Adam Backey, please? Adam, the college has proven to be a good neighbor, but some of the neighbors, beside talking about the traffic situation, also talked about noise created by some of the parking. Is there a possibility that the university could start thinking about, or the project managers, about possible walls or type of hedging that could, we'll say, make it more amenable to them in a sense of either by sound walls or some type of planting that could help. It's just, I've heard several things, traffic, but also the concern of the aesthetics of the area.
Well, ultimately, as has been well articulated, this is going to be a taxable development. The reason it's going to be a taxable development is it's actually being privately developed and will be privately owned. So ultimately, the discussion of the details of what gets built ultimately has to be had with the private developer. But the university is certainly open to, if there are some solutions that would help to mitigate against the noise while still achieving the objectives of the project, the university certainly would support that.
That's my only question. I mean, there's always a solution to something. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Samaras. Councilor O'Rourke?
Just second Councilor Kennedy's motion.
Okay. Further discussion? We'll take a roll call on the original motion to adopt on the public hearing, and then we'll go back with Councilor Kennedy's motion to refer that to DPD for report and recommendation. Roll call.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Motion by Councilor Kennedy to refer the zoning change to the Division of Planning and Development for report and recommendation to the Planning Board. Second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, while we're still in the public hearings, is a vote to approve Ayer Industrial Park Urban Revitalization and Development Plan. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Rourke, second by Council Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Lowell, excuse me, and City Council to vote approving the Ayers City Industrial Park Urban Revitalization and Development Plan for the City of Lowell. Now open this portion of the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. Those wishing to speak in favor. Those wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. We just want to open this. Mr. Manager, did you have a report on this before we close the public hearing?
Yes, what we'd like to do is continue this public hearing for 1 week so that I can meet with one of the abutters to the access roadway so that we can resolve any issues that that abutter may have with that, and then hopefully be back here next week to vote the plan in after we address any of those concerns.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager.
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support that because as it stands right now, I wouldn't support this. There's a portion of this material for land acquisition. They want to take over the VFW on Plain Street. I'm not supporting that. Here we had a beautiful ceremony in Lawrence this afternoon and then again in the City Council chamber. And on one hand, we're saying we support MIA, POW, and then in the next breath, we're going to strip them of their land. I don't think this is America when that happens. So I'm glad that through you to the city manager that you're pulling this off for further study, because I couldn't believe it. When we had the meeting some time ago, a couple of weeks ago or whatever, this wasn't even brought up or mentioned until I reviewed this booklet, and then I saw that, and so I'm glad that we're going to look at it again, because I think that's a travesty of justice to see
Okay,
that here.
we got
Thank you.
Council Leahy, Council Rourke, Council Kennedy, then Council Milonazo. Council Leahy.
Thank you. I agree with the manager. I was going to ask maybe that we send it off to committee to Economic Development Subcommittee, so we have a lot more time. The manager might want to even have, I don't know when we're going to hire a new DPD department head, but, we might want to get that person on board with this. So I would suggest maybe that at least go to Economic Development Subcommittee so we could have further discussion.
Okay, the manager's wants to pull this off the agenda, so if there's
Yeah,
no
we're all in
objection to
favor of
that. Council Rourke, then Council Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just agree with the manager. I think it's the wise and correct move to pull it back, take your time and talk to the abutters, especially the VFW, to get this important matter taken care of. But there's a correct move, and thank you.
Council Kennedy, then Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing.
Correct.
I would, based on the manager's request, I would recommend that we suspend the public hearing for
Right.
both the proponents and the opponents for 2 weeks, in order that the manager has an opportunity to have the discussions that he thinks will be beneficial.
Motion to recess the public hearing by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Rourke. Further discussion, Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support delaying this for 2 weeks, but I just want to remind my colleagues that that these plans can be amended once they are approved. And I also want to say that I certainly support the VFW, and if they're concerned about this, then we should certainly delay. But I just want to remind my colleagues that back many years ago, we took by eminent domain the building at the end of Merrimack Street for the construction of the Howe Bridge. And the people who owned the building at the time came to the microphone here and asked us not to take the building because it was their house of worship. Well, we ended up having it appraised by 2 or 3 appraisal companies, and lo and behold, we took the building, and they were quite satisfied with what they were paid for the building, and actually bought the church property on Andover Street, which is directly behind where I live. So again, at the end of the day, I think this should be studied further, but I hope the VFW doesn't lose sight of the fact that we will pay fair market value for the property, and they may end up in a better location within that neighborhood. So again, I agree with Councilor Mercier and Councilor Kennedy, the fact that Manager Murphy wants to delay this, but at the end of the day, I think that their interests will be satisfied. So I will support the 2-week delay. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Someone else wanted to speak? All those in favor of the 2-week delay signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. This will be delayed for 2 weeks. Moving back to the original part of the agenda, item number 6. Item number 6, reports. Subcommittee reports. Any subcommittee reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Number 7, 7.1, petitions. There are claims, 3 claims for property damage, 1 for personal injury. Motion to refer to the Law Department by Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor O'Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Mr.
Motion
Mayor,
carries for report and
Mayor.
recommendation. Councilor Mercier?
I had 4 property damage claims and 1 personal property. There were 4 property damage claims and 1 personal injury.
One might have got, that was sent directly to the Law Department, Counselor. I think there were 3 on the agenda, but I'll check with it.
And in our packet as well, while I'm telling you this, was a transfer of funds. I don't know, it wasn't on the agenda, but it was from Superintendent William Taylor. He would like to request a transfer of funds of $53,000. It's not on the agenda. This,
It was on the agenda. It was under communications.
oh, did we vote on it?
No,
Why not?
because it was accepted as a report. It was accepted as a communication, but it wasn't voted on. But it was under
So
communications.
why would it be put like that?
I don't know.
If you just hold, I don't think it needed a vote for the transfer because he's transferring from his own accounts to the salary and wage account.
There's a minimum amount that is required for transfers of $2,500, and it was just more of an informational.
But this is
Madam Solicitor?
This is $53,000.
Well, then that's certainly,
This was pursuant to the council's request, Councilor Kennedy's request, that those transfers that do not require council action, that there be a written communication notifying the council of the transfer. And this was included for that purpose, as the manager had indicated.
All right, just,
Council Martin?
Right, that was going to be my comment, is I think we do allow, or have allowed for transfers within the same department budget. And I think Councilor Kennedy some time ago said if it's more than 20,000, the council should be notified of that. So I took that to be that notification. We also had one that fell outside of those rules that was voted tonight, the 90,000.
yeah, that's what confused me, but that's all right. All right.
All set? Thank you for the clarification. Moving on to the next item of the agenda. Mr. Clerk's going to check on that petition and get back to us. Excuse me. Again, under petitions is a miscellaneous from the UMass Lowell, request a license for signage installation. Motion to refer to Law Department to draft proper vote by Council Milonazo, second by Council Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Next item, again, under petitions from National Grid. Request pole location at 294 Trotting Park Road. This is the first reading. Motion to refer to a public hearing on May 6th by Council Belanger, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. Next item under petitions, 7.4. Again, National Grid and Verizon New England. Request the pole location at 39 Schaefer Street. This is the first reading. This, entertain a motion to refer to a public hearing by Councilor Leahy, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Next item, again, another petition by National Grid and Verizon New England requesting a pole location at 213 White Street. Having given the first reading, motion to refer to a public hearing on May 6th by Councilor Marcia, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Oh, well, no, we did 7. There's another one on Charting Park Road, 7.5, again by National Grid. Verizon New England, it's a pole location, this time at 246 Charting Park Road. Having given the first reading, motion to refer to a public hearing, again on May 6th, by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? That motion carries as well. Next part of the agenda, City Council motions. First motion of the evening is a motion by Councilor Kennedy. Request city manager set an annual date to hold municipal lien auction. Seconded by Councilor Leahy. Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, we had a brief discussion about this earlier today, but basically the city has, for the past 2 years, had held municipal lien auctions, which have brought in collectively in the aggregate of somewhere a little over $5 million, I think, over the past 2 years. But we've run those auctions kind of at random times. And it would seem to me that it probably would make more sense and might be better for you in fiscal planning if those auctions took place at the same time every year. And so that's what the motion asks, is that you set a time. I think that maybe the springtime might be the best, and that there might be some sort of administrative changes you may have to undertake in order to make that happen. But the motion does not, the motion just asks that you set a date after you consider everything, and so.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, it's an excellent idea because obviously, from a real estate standpoint, it makes sense to do it in the spring, not only when people are looking to buy, but they can start working on the developments, and we can have the money for the end of the year. So I'm already looking into making those administrative adjustments so that the auction date is in the springtime.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Manager. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed? Motion carries. Next motion of the evening by Councilor Samaras. Request city manager report on the cost of establishing a 311 constituent service call center for the residents of the city of Lowell. Second by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Samaras?
Thank you. I can remember during my walk in the neighborhoods during the campaign, I talked to many senior citizens who were concerned about making calls to City Hall and quite often being sent to the wrong department or not knowing where to call for a certain problem. If there was a tree limb on a sidewalk, mattress in the road, the lights are out in front of their home, or just general things, or whether the barrels are being picked up. I know we have a computer system for the city of Lowell, but many of our senior citizens especially do not have access to computers. And what I'm looking at is this a one type of call system. Somerville was the first community, I believe, in the Commonwealth to have the 311 number. But many cities throughout our country now have this. It's a one-call service for request, or to be have the call put to the right department. The beauty of this, with the right technology, all services are logged in, and these services can be assessed as to how quickly they're done. And I think what's very important about this service, that it has a tracking system within it. So as counselors, if all of a sudden the city manager were to say to us, we ask for a report, that each week 100 to 200 calls of concern about their barrels not being picked up, then we now know there's a problem in that area. So I think something like this, it's a human voice on the other end of the phone. It's a human voice saying, we'll be able to handle it for you. It's a human voice saying, we'll be able to give you that service. It's I believe the cost would be in the technology right now and setting up a 311 number. But I'd ask the city manager to see if there's a possibility of utilizing some of the personnel that we have presently working for the city, or would it have to be a separate cost? But I think I would like to have that explored, because I believe constituent service is what we're all about, and I think this is one of the best ways of dealing with it in a direct fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Your timing is impeccable. We had a long discussion today about eGov and C-Click-Fix. So this, we can incorporate this discussion in our discussions about those two constituent services, and then report back to you about what we think is the most logical thing to do for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Martin?
Thank you. I just in that same regard, I had a positive feedback this week about the Click Fix. Somebody had gone on and reported 2 potholes. Both were taken care of. Took less than a week. So I think that's working to some extent. At least that anecdote tells me we're having some success with that. Not everybody uses a computer every day, though, so I think the 311 would be a nice addition to that program for people who are just more comfortable calling up. So certainly think it's a good idea, worth exploring. But I think the infrastructure in place we have seems to be working pretty well, so this can only enhance that.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Next motion of the evening by Council Belanger. Request City Council discuss the reorganizing of planning and development to include an economic development officer / division independent of planning. Second by Council Kennedy. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For starters, the purpose of this motion is strictly for opinion and a little input from my colleagues, hopefully, that, and not at all to intrude on the process. It falls within the manager's purview. I don't mean to intrude on that whatsoever. I have the utmost confidence in the manager, but I think it's always healthy to have a little discussion as we enter this new era, and we're about to bring in a new DPD director. I just think it's in the best interest of the city and will be most effective if we do designate an individual or two that are solely dedicated to economic development, not only just in the downtown, but throughout the city. That's existing businesses as well as attracting new ones. Now, I know we have people that do that in one sense, but I don't think we have so much as one individual that is solely dedicated to this cause. So I think it's in the best interest. It will really, I think, promote our downtown, which is, citywide, the most lagging. I think city, with the exception of downtown, we're doing pretty well. I really wholeheartedly believe that. If you want to factor in Cambodia Town on Branch Street, Couple Square, the neighborhood corridors like Route 38, Bridge Street, I think are all doing very, very well. And our downtown is the most lagging. So I just like to convey this to the manager, that's all, that I think it's be most effective to have individuals solely dedicated that aren't sidetracked, so to speak, that aren't applying for grants or doing, multitasking, so to speak. So that's what I would like to see. That's just my opinion. Mr. Manager, it's in your hands. I don't mean to interrupt, but that's just my opinion, and that's what I think is in the best interest of the city, and that's why I bring it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Discussion? Councilman Milanazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Out of really courtesy and respect for Council Belanger, I'll support the motion, but as it's worded and as he described it, I wouldn't support the change. I don't think that an economic development officer should be a separate division within the Planning and Development Office. I spent many years at the Planning and Development Office. Since Manager Lynch and Adam Bakey, it really has become an award-winning Planning and Development Office. We did lose our Economic Development Director to Lawrence last week, and I know that the manager and as Council Belanger indicated, we don't want to intrude on your ability to hire a new DPD director and then staff the office accordingly, but you cannot be an economic development director in a vacuum. You have to work with the planners in order to determine what is the best fit, be it for the downtown or be it for the neighborhood. So again, out of respect, I'll support the motion to have a discussion about reorganizing the planning and development. But based upon what I heard and based upon what I read, I would never support separating the economic development position from the planning and development office. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council. Council Samaras?
Thank you. I would support Council Belanger's motion, but as it is at this point, but I could not support separating the two positions. I think the planning department that we've had in Lowell has been very, very effective, and at this point, to make that type of change, I would have great concerns. But we have just hired a new city manager, and I really believe that we need to give you, Mr. Manager, the time to review what you have, what your operations look like, who you have in those particular positions, what positions you might need, and give you the chance to come in with your own plan as to how you would see this city running. I think it's very important that as councilors, we're here to support you, and I think you need the time to review what you have, to make your own suggestions, and then we should have the discussions after you've had the opportunity to review the current status of how our government works at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And since this is a discussion through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, I would ask what your plan is for the future with regards to hiring a permanent CFO, a DPD director, and also a director of economic development.
My plans are, first of all, the CFO is going to be the first position that, actually, we already advertised, the city did advertise for a CFO. They never filled it, but we do have some applications on file, and I'm going to be looking at those applications and determining whether we need to do further advertising for the CFO. The Division of Planning and Development Director is going to be the next one that I focus on, and I want to make sure that we get as good a DPD director as we can. As a matter of fact, I talked to Mr. Bakey just before the meeting started, asking for him to meet with me so I can get some thoughts from him as to what he would think would be a good candidate, or who should be in the job description or in the interview. But I heard it loud and clear throughout the interview process and beyond that downtown is a major, major concern. And trust me, not only downtown, but the other corridors of small businesses across the city are a major concern. And I'm going to make sure that those areas are looked into specifically as part of our economic development plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion? Council Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I seconded the motion and I intend to support it. I think that, this is, we're at a point where we do have a brand new city manager where we will be hiring a person to head up the Division of Planning and Development, and we'll be hiring an economic development director because that person has left as well, and there's probably a couple of other positions that have left. And so this is an opportunity really for the new city manager to take a good look at that department and maybe reshape it a little bit. And I think that, whether the ideas come from the former head of the Division of Planning and Development or from one of the city councilors, it's all ideas are worth consideration. And so for that reason, I think this is a good motion.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9.1, City Council Executive Session, has been withdrawn. Seeing no further business before the City Council, entertain a motion to adjourn. Although by Council Marcia, seconded by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Did you want to explain, Madam Solicitor? You just decided to withdraw that executive session on Mr. Manager?
I just need a little time to do a little bit more research on that issue, and then I think we'll be able to.
Okay. Oh, I should have explained that.
Oh, I
Council
see.
Mercier?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, before we adjourn, I have a concern, just a question, so I don't know if I need a, did we adjourn? I just wanted to know.
We had the
what-
motion, we seconded, and,
Oh, we're out of here? Oh. I just wanted to know what happened to the mayoral portraits that were in here. Where are they? That's all I want to know.
I believe that they are going to be placed downstairs in a location.
So, because
I will
people
find
were
out.
asking me.
I do not know, they are not in my office,
I don't have them either.
but I will find out and I'll get back to you, Counselor. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, and the opposed, meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening. Great job.